everyone. I'm Mary Fain Brandt, the host of this show, Bite-Sized Tips for Busy Entrepreneurs. What's up, everyone? Happy hump day. Hey, did you guys know that vulnerability is the driving force of connection? It's about being brave. It's about being tender. And it's impossible to connect without it. But society, we have turned vulnerability into a weakness, into something that's shameful. Heaven forbid we should be vulnerable. And in our businesses, heaven forbid we should show any vulnerability. We tell people to put up a front, don't dare say that we don't know everything and that we don't have all the answers, and just, basically stop being human, just be a robot and pretend like everything is great and that you have all the answers. Well, that's no way to jump into 2022, especially after basically 2 years of what we've been going through and all the change that we've seen individually and as a society, as a country, and as a world. So we are going to be talking about vulnerability. Are you okay with being vulnerable? If you're not, that's okay, because I have someone today, the amazing Carl Sean Watkins, that is going to talk to us about how to be vulnerable professionally and personally. We are going to be interviewing him, and we're going to be talking about 3 tips. You guys know how this show goes. It's 30 minutes, 3 tips. We're going to be talking about how to embrace your vulnerability. That's a hard word for me to say. I'm going to mess that up today, Carl. Are you being held back personally and professionally because you haven't chosen to lean into your vulnerability? And what is your relationship with vulnerability? I'm sure that I'm going to have some aha moments today. I want you guys to grab your pen, your paper, your laptop, your iPad, your cell phone, whatever it is, and take some notes on how you can lean into your vulnerability and about the tips that Carl's going to be sharing about why we need to be more vulnerable. You know, being more vulnerable is just going to make you a more awesome human being. And we all want to be a little more awesome, right? Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Fainbrand, CEO and host of this show, Bite-Sized Tips for Busy Entrepreneurs, where I interview savvy business owners and experts to help you grow and scale your business or just be a better human being. Today's guest is Carl Sean Watkins. He empowers executives and leaders to transform their vulnerability into superpowers. I love superpowers. That's actually listed on my LinkedIn profile. So, Carl, I love that you use that word. He is also a law student, an aspiring civil rights attorney, and a U.S. Army vet. Wow. Carl, you sound pretty friggin' amazing to me. Let's get Carl up here on stage and start talking about how to be vulnerable. Hello, Carl. Good morning.
Good morning, Mary. How are you?
I am doing great. You're here having another wonderful show, and I'm excited to have you on here and start talking about what vulnerability is and what it isn't. I think the definition has gotten confused in our society, you know, over the years. What vulnerability, most people think it's being weak, and it really isn't. But before we get started, a shout out to Elizabeth who joined us. I'm looking at the comments, and for some reason, StreamYard did not put my comment out on LinkedIn. So, Elizabeth, I said hi, but it only went to Facebook and YouTube. Gotta love some technology. And speaking of StreamYard, I forgot to give them a shout out because if you guys like how this show looks and feels, the branding, all the greatness that you're going to see in the next 30 minutes, StreamYard is what we use to go live onto multiple platforms, and they are the official sponsor of Bite-Sized Tips for Busy Entrepreneurs. Woo, woo! Thank you, StreamYard, for always partnering up with me, and I'll drop my link in the comments if you're interested in taking it for a test drive and seeing if it's time for you to level up your live stream or just get started. And if anyone signs up with my affiliate link, I give you a free tutorial on how to get the most out of StreamYard because I love it that much. So I want you to be successful, right? That's just something I just started doing. Why not? Why not help people?
And another feature to your many, many talents.
Thank you. So Carl, let's talk about how we met, right?
Yes, on the show, I think it was 15 Minutes of Fame, if I'm not mistaken, or I think it was your show. You were talking about LinkedIn profiles, and I love watching lives. I love getting a connection to people. I love hearing interesting stories about people. And I was just scrolling one evening, always doing homework. So it's a story of my life. I was scrolling doing homework, and sometimes I listen to the LinkedIn shows and I watch the lives. Sometimes they give me a little bit of offbeat of what I'm doing. So I get interested in it. And I happen to be scrolling past, and I saw your show. It actually came my notifications, and I saw your show. And I think you were doing the LinkedIn profiles. You was optimizing profiles. And I just was amazed at all the things and the knowledge that you had about these profiles. I hear everybody talking about, they can optimize your profile. But I think your show was one of the first ones I seen where you actually was walking people through and kind of going through some tips and some things that you could do right there on the spot. And that kind of got me to go because I just thought that I had my profile just all bad and shined up. But you gave me the opportunity to go into it, dig into it. You even looked over it and gave me tips on the air. And that was fabulous.
Yeah, you changed your headline.
Yes, I changed it right on the spot.
Yeah, that was 15 Minutes of Fame. That's my other show that's every Wednesday at 5 p.m., folks. And that's where it's quick tips for the week. And it's almost always on LinkedIn, a program or a platform or business development. So tonight is going to be how to think your connections on LinkedIn. But yeah, so Carl and I actually met on LinkedIn because he was watching one of my shows. So shows do work. You expand your network. Carl changed his headline, and now he is here being a guest on my show because I think talking about how to be vulnerable is so important with all the changes that we've experienced and gone through in the last basically 2 years now, coming up
Yeah.
on 2 years. Um, I think it's important that we kind of dive into this topic and set ourselves up for an amazing 2022. We're all going to have
Absolutely.
amazing 2022s, but we have to have the right mindset. We need to
Yes.
understand where we're at. So, Carl, tell us a little bit about your background. I gave a little intro there, but literally
Mhm.
that was like the 10-second intro. Tell us, so you were a vet and now you're
Yes.
a law student. And how did all that play a role into where you're at today and how you've become this vulnerability coach?
I think all of that played a role with just that, being vulnerable, understanding that there were some things that was within me that I had the innateness of, and I just wanted to do an inventory. I don't think that we take inventories of our lives. I mean, we take inventory of so many other things, and we try to make sure, especially in the corporate world, of which I've worked for over 20 years, we try to make sure that everything is going at some kind of complete of functionness in that, and we get so adjusted to making sure others are okay. And what does that okay mean? It's just a simple fact that we become pleasers, and I don't say people pleasers because it's just not focalized on one person. We become people pleasers nationally in our lives. We become, whether it's with our partners, our children, excuse me, whether it becomes with our job, our bosses, and it just perpetuates itself over and over again into a cycle of our lives. And what I looked at and start looking on the internal, I started really focusing on what made me happy. What were some of the things that I was doing that were making me happy and was not putting me in a place of I was doing this for someone else. And a lot of times we don't have people that follow their dreams because of the simple fact they're bogged down by obligations. They're bogged down, and I use that term loosely insane. I don't mean it in a derogatory means, but I mean you're bogged down by other things that are in your life, and your obligations have you shifted to places that you're really not being optimal yourself in. And that's most of the time in career, family, and those two really play an important part. But what you have to realize is that we have connections, and we are to foster connections with anyone and everyone. Us as humanity, we thrive off connections. There's no other place to put it. There's no other way to say it. And in our connections, we get fed the things that we are lacking in. And only can that happen when you realize and embrace your vulnerability. And I know what Merriam-Webster says. I oftentimes go back and forth with different ones, different scholars about the actual meaning of. But I dare you to look at that in another perspective. And that's the narrative that I'm trying to change. I want people to look at being vulnerable as a superpower, because it is. It's not just putting
I
things
love
on
that
people.
term. That
Yes,
term that twists it and makes it powerful, right? It goes from the
yes,
negative to the positive, that your vulnerability can be a superpower. So let's start there. Like, I want to talk. So most people think vulnerability is a weakness,
hmm,
right? Because it's showing something that you don't know, something you don't understand, a situation you're going through.
hmm.
Um, but how do we turn that into a superpower? How do we take it from vulnerability as a weakness? That's how most people view it, not everyone,
Hmm.
but the
Hmm.
old school
The
definition
old
is
school.
being the old school definition is, if I'm vulnerable, I'm weak, I don't know everything, I won't look strong, I won't look
Hmm.
like I have my stuff together, right? So how do we take that, Carl, and how do we turn our vulnerability into a superpower?
We have to, and that's the first step in my coaching and consulting. And that's what I tell people. You have to reintroduce yourself to you. That's where we come at first. You have to reintroduce yourself, and the pandemic really allowed us to do this if we've taken advantage of it to its fullest. The pandemic has stopped us from having this busyness of life where we can't do an evaluation of ourselves, where we can't reprioritize the things that are important. And I think that a lot of us has been raised. I mean, just start from this point. A lot of us has been raised to believe that vulnerability equals weakness, and especially so much so in corporate that it's like It's sort of like a mantra that you wear. You can't show your vulnerability. But what we have seen during the course of the time of this pandemic has kind of crippled us to an extent that people can't hide from it anymore. You're either going to have to face it, or you're going to have to, or it's going to take you under. And this is my key proponent to allowing yourself to be empowered by it. By saying it's a superpower. Learn to embrace it. First of all, we just really get clear on what it really means by vulnerability. I know we hear the topic of it, the dictionary means, how we've been taught and trained, even how others have said it is, and even though the studies and the research and stuff that Brené Brown has done, and we have people that's kind of like feeding on those things as a term, a cliche term. But what we have to do is really understand what that means to us. I always say vulnerability is individual. So thereby, I can't get a definition of that and place it on me. I can't say that my vulnerability is the same as your vulnerability. So, of course, there are hard situations, there are hard times, but what we have to do is embrace those, because on the other side of that is growth, it's development, it's cultivation, it's innovation. It's so many things that outweigh you being stuck in yourself, that this is why it's so important to embrace your vulnerability.
Absolutely. It's tough though. So let's talk a little bit about, if you're not embracing your vulnerability, or I like how you put it, if you're not leaning in to your, vulnerability, and, what
Yes.
areas are we vulnerable in? Because we are vulnerable personally and professionally, to
Mm-hmm.
the main two areas of our life, right? Our personal life
Mm-hmm.
with our family and our friends, and then our professional life, whether you're a career professional or a business owner. How do we lean into that, and how does that hold us back in both those areas of our life?
Well, in the personal area, it's definitely it's a little more harder than I would say that I have overcome. The personal was a little bit harder than the corporate, right? And you say that how? I say that for the simple fact we spend a lot of time in our corporate settings trying to prove ourselves. And therein line is a real toe to toe battle with vulnerability, because vulnerability tells me that there are areas and that I'm flawed in, that I'm not capable of living up to what someone else has said. This is the key to that. Vulnerability traps you into what someone else says or thinks about you. It's not you. And though you may have those flaws that someone may see, though you may have those misconceptions about yourself that someone may notice, those shortcomings that you have, they are all things that make you. So, how do you do that? How do you envelop that? How do you become better with that? I can only say it by embracing that. Yeah, it's hard. Yes, being vulnerable is hard, and I'm not here on the soapbox to tell you that it's easy. It takes a lot of courage to, but the only thing is that vulnerability is within you. I can't say and put off on you vulnerability. I can't tell you what you weak in until you show me or you tell me. So there lies vulnerability. If you use it strategically and intentionally, it's only to develop you. And also, I agree with that, Tommy. It opens up the door. If I can't, us being receivers, and this is a study and study and research that I've done, we are senders and receivers. We send out signals to let people know we're in a vulnerable state. And we have receivers who were twofold. They're either going to take advantage of that, or they're going to help you move past that. Now, when you got a 50-50 chance, you know what I mean? A lot of people say, I'll take what's safe. Okay, well, what's safe? You continuing in the road that you're on without the development, without the growth, without that, maybe there's an
You've
understanding.
got to take a chance, right?
You've got
And
to,
and
and the
there's
chance is on
always going to
you.
be someone that takes advantage of you, and all you do is you
Yes.
learn from that, and you be like, okay, I always like, that was a learning opportunity.
Right.
So like in business, and this
Mhm.
is hypothetical, you guys, this isn't real, but let's say I reached out and I wanted to do a collaboration with someone. That's putting
Mhm.
me in a vulnerable space, because I'm counting on someone to do 50% of the work, or 60% or 40%, whatever we agree upon. I'm counting on them to show up, to produce the work that we need, to promote the work that we've done. And I'm being vulnerable because this is my reputation on the line. So if that doesn't come through, does that make me weak or stupid or inferior? No. That just to me is like, well, we tried this, didn't quite work out how I had planned. So maybe when I collaborate with someone in the future, I'll have a contract. Or maybe when I collaborate with someone in the future, I'll lay out what I expect a little clearer and make sure we're both on the same page. So that, that would help me go, okay, my communication wasn't clear enough, right? So I'm being vulnerable by putting myself out there, my reputation, my business. And if that other person doesn't come through, yes, will that hurt my reputation a little? Maybe, but can I recover from it? Yeah. It's a learning opportunity. We're not perfect. I think, especially online, we try to, I try not to do this. I am far from perfect. I have a cat that jumps in front of the camera. I have technical issues, right? We're far from perfect people, but I think online, what we see is a lot of perfection. And I think we need to be more vulnerable online and show the warts. I like to say, show the good, the bad, and the ugly. Show the problems after you've gone through them. Like, hey, that was a tough time in my life. I want to share about it so that maybe I can help someone who's going through that. So I can help them navigate the path a little easier.
Absolutely.
So Tommy says, so we can all win together. Oh, this is a season of collaboration.
It truly is.
I don't know who you are, Tommy. Do I know you, Tommy? But I'm loving your comments here. I'm all
Thanks,
about
Tommy, for stopping by. I appreciate it. Tommy's also a coach, and he has some great words of wisdom. You watch his show, The Coach's Corner, with him and Sean Hill. They're wonderful fellows.
So we have a Facebook user. I don't know who you are. They have said, I'm sitting here nodding. I think the era of the elusive monolith of success is over, and people crave real, which is wonderful. I am 100% real. This is who I am. It's not perfection by any means. But I love, wait, am I going to do this right? Interviewing amazing people, right? To get their story out and to collaborate on these interviews to help our audience grow, learn, and just be inspired. I love all this. Sean Hill. I don't know. Tommy said Sean Hill.
Yes, him and Tommy. They have a show called The Coach's Corner. So they give great advice, and I think Sean is a LinkedIn guru as well. So you guys have a lot in common.
Tommy, we need to connect if we're not connected, and maybe we'll collaborate on something. Let's talk about what we can do. I have another LinkedIn Remastered class coming up. I think in January, if I can pull it off.
Yes, sounds good.
Elizabeth said, yes, Carl is amazing. Well, yes,
thank you,
he
is. I appreciate
that. That is why he's on the show today. Okay, so we talk about we need to embrace our vulnerability, what vulnerability is, and how it can hold you back personally and professionally. Did we talk about how to define our relationship with vulnerability?
Your relationship with vulnerability is the same as any relationship that you have. You can't go, and I want to go back to that because Tommy had made a point about the collaboration. The importance of collaborations is for you to get involved with things that you're not involved in. See, it used to be a time ago when we used to think about this networking, right? And we used to network, pass our cards out, introduce ourselves to people, and we always look for an advantage, most of the time on our end, right? Letting somebody know what we do so they can take our services, right? But how we've come to the point of now, I just got off a call with someone from Malaysia before this show. Networking has taken on a whole new meaning. It's about the relationship now. It's not about what you can offer people. Yes, we do have services. We do have products that we're selling, or we do have services that we're providing. But people are all in the service and product game right now. It's the relationships that you're building. We're going back to the simple things, the basics of, no, let me talk to you. Let me get to know you. Let me understand you. Let me see if we're on the same plane. Let me see if we have some differences. Let me see if we have some agreements. Let us see how we are. Let's build this relationship. Therefore, I can scratch your back as you scratch mine genuinely, not in the essence of seeing what I can get out of you or what I can take all the time. And I think this is what we're going to be seeing from more so, even the comment that you showed up before. This is the year of collaboration. Why? Because the reset has been pushed. The reset button has been pushed. And I've been saying it ever since the pandemic happened. And I'm kind of like coining that phrase because at the point in time of the pandemic, things were changed. And it gave everybody an opportunity to have a clean slate, regardless of wherever you were in the world at that moment. It gave you an opportunity to reprioritize how you would go forward. And now we're seeing people that are taking advantage of that and they're moving forward with that. And that's only through vulnerability. Because when you do that, and you made a point that you were saying about collaborating with somebody, yes, that's vulnerability if they don't pull up and they don't do their part. But isn't that the same thing that when you go to a corporation, it doesn't change because you're a business owner? Why? Because the more dynamic is on you. Yes, you look at it that way, but your perspective is what guides you. The mind is what moves you. So when you think about vulnerability, if I'm embracing the vulnerability, I'm not caring what doesn't go right. What I'm caring is what I take from what has happened. I'm in the moment. And that's what vulnerability puts you. It puts you in the moment. It puts you at a self-aware state where you say, okay, I may not have all the answers, but you know what? I'm here with Mary on this show. Maybe Mary have some with me. Mary, I'm going through this. I'm going through that. Can you help me? That
And if
doesn't
I
make me
don't,
less.
I might
Yes,
know someone that can help you out or that has
absolutely.
the perfect solution. So I love Elizabeth's been chiming in. It's about the relationships and the connections and not transactions and pitch slapping. Yeah. So I have to say this because you know how passionate I am about this. Don't drop in the LinkedIn DMs with a pitch. Don't try to
No,
sell me without getting to know me. You better jump on a call and get to know who I am, what I do, what
absolutely.
I
What?
stand for, what I'm passionate about. You get that? You need to know me as a person before you try to pitch me anything. So high five, Elizabeth. And then she said, vulnerability has a way of making people realize how genuine you are. So,
Absolutely.
and I want to tie this back to LinkedIn because that's my jam. That's my
Yes.
platform. Being
Yes.
vulnerable on LinkedIn, as Tommy says, is it's going to open more doors. Sharing
Mhm.
your story on LinkedIn is going to spark more genuine conversations that lead to the right connections that convert into opportunities. And when I say the word convert, Carl, you know me, it's all about
Mhm.
connect, cultivate, convert, my 3C method, but convert into opportunities. I'm saying opportunities. I'm not saying convert into clients. Some of those
Right.
people will become clients, but it's more important that we redefine what the word convert means in the
Yes.
business world. And I want it to be convert to opportunities, collaborations, brand ambassadors, referral partners, just amazing people in your network. And of course, some of those are going to be clients because at the end of the day, we all need clients. But I think if we rethink that word convert, and if we open ourselves up to having more authentic conversations and
Absolutely.
being more vulnerable and having these, I've been having a lot of one-on-one conversations with other business owners about where we're at in our business, the challenges that we're having, where we're stuck, and like, hey, should we start a little mastermind group so we can sit here and talk about, hey, I'm stuck over here. I'm doing great in this. I'm launching this, but I'm hitting a wall over here. What am I doing wrong? So it's about being vulnerable. And it doesn't mean that you always have to be vulnerable to, your 10,000 connections. Maybe it's being vulnerable in a small group, addressing a specific problem. Oh my gosh, I just saw Bez is here. I love Bez. I would call Bez, he started as a brand ambassador because he was just always on my shows commenting. He's amazing. And he ended up being one of my guest speakers at LinkedIn Remastered. That's the beauty of connecting and cultivating the
Absolutely.
relationship. Bez, thank you for joining us today. Vulnerability in your story will resonate with your tribe. Yes, I can't use the word tribe here, Bez. I'm in Arizona and I use that once. So I just want to share that. Like we have to be cognitive of what words we choose. And so I use community or network or audience now. That's the
Absolutely.
thing. I didn't know that. And that was me, just saying a word that I've always used in business. And I was told, oh, you can't use that word in Arizona. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know. But they educated me in a very nice way. They didn't like call me out. And, like be mean. Like it was honestly an honest mistake. Um, According to the platform, I'll need your email. Yes, Tommy. So I have my LinkedIn profile on lockdown because I have a strong network and I'm only adding people strategically at this point, and I get too much spam. So, Tommy, my email here, you guys, so on LinkedIn, go to the contact info. My email's right there. Just hit the contact button. My email's there. It's hello@maryfanebrandt.com. I just have my LinkedIn on lockdown because too much spam in the DM. Wow, Carl. So let's wrap this up. What words of wisdom do you want to end this amazing show on how to be more vulnerable? And also, I want people to know how to connect with you and tell us all the good stuff that you're up to.
Yes, my words of wisdom is just embrace. That's just one word. Embrace. I'm a words guy, and I love using words. But when it comes to vulnerability, there's only one word that proves to be effective. You have to embrace it. You can't run from it. And in the essence of that, you'll see how much you grow. There's many opportunities that you have to showcase and embrace your vulnerability every single day. Someone gives you an opportunity to embrace it because we're senders and receivers. So all you have to do is embrace. And I say embrace your vulnerability builds credibility. You build that trust. Relationships aren't built on nothing but trust. I don't care how many products you got, services you got. Can't sell anybody anything unless they trust you. Believe that.
Know, like, and trust. It's a
That.
3-step process because I can know you, and then I usually have to like you, and then I have to trust you, and then you can be a guest on my show, or then I can do business with you, or even for me, I'm in conversation to hire someone to help me with a big project, and so it doesn't happen overnight, Carl, right? I have to have conversations, and I have to share what my fear is of hiring someone for this big ticket thing. Like, that's a lot of money. What am I going to get out of that? Am I going to be happy? What if it's about being vulnerable and saying, this is where I'm at. This is what I want. How can you help me? And then being okay, I had to go back to the person who was amazing saying, you know what? That's more than I budgeted for Q4. What can we do for this price? And it wasn't saying that I don't have the money, and it's not saying that I totally value this person and I know they're an expert, but I'm trying to stay on budget in my business. That's fun to do.
Yeah. It's hard to do sometimes, but the vulnerability, it will definitely put you in that space of where you'll be aware. Try it. Try it. That's what I'll leave with you. Try it. Well, you can reach me at carlshawnwatkins.com. You can see my content there. I'm also on LinkedIn, Carl S. Watkins 1. You can find me there. That's pretty much where I live. Hi, Selena. We are going across the other side of the world there now. We're crossing the other side of the world. Selena, she is LinkedIn. I don't know, like Guru doesn't fit her. Like, I mean, I know you got skills, but I've been on Selena maybe about a year now, and she
Selena, we need to get connected.
Yeah, she has some tremendous LinkedIn. She actually used to work for LinkedIn before she branched out and started her own company. Yes,
we need to connect.
She's
we need
a
to
boss.
Chat. And I want to learn more about the services you provide because I believe there's power in collaborating with other LinkedIn trainers, consultants, and speakers. Because, there's enough business for all of us. Plus, my master class, I'm looking for some extraordinary female LinkedIn experts to
she's an expert.
In the next one. Selena,
she's an expert. Yes, she's definitely an expert. She knows a lot of the insides. The inside stuff that a lot of people's claim to know. She knows it firsthand. She's worked there. So, so you can reach me on there. I'm also on Instagram at Carl Shawn Watkins Consulting. Facebook as well. Just had a private Facebook group called Vulnerability Challenge. And
you can drop that link in the drop the link in the chat after the show. And you guys, we're going to start wrapping up. I've got 2 more things to share. First, Carl, I think I forgot to tell you that I play a game with all my guests at the end. So, Are you ready? It's simple.
Absolutely.
It's called This or That. Okay. It helps us. You're going to be vulnerable. It helps us get to know our guests on a personal level. I'm going to give you two words. You get to pick one. You don't get to
Okay.
add a third, and you don't get a pass. I'm like, I've got a hardcore on those rules. So, are you ready? Ready? Okay.
Absolutely.
Flip flops or boots?
I'm a boots dude.
Sweet. Pizza or tacos?
I like pizza.
Okay. Country or rock and roll music?
I actually like country.
Me too. I'm a country girl at heart. Beach or mountains?
I'm a mountain dude.
Mountain dude. Okay. Baseball or football?
I play both, so that's a tricky one. Yeah, I played both in high school. Uh,
Which one?
I gotta say baseball, much harder
Baseball.
than you think you see when you're watching the game.
Sweet. Okay. Movies or a nap? Which would you rather do?
I am not a napper, and I'm not a movie guy, so you got me on that one. I don't like it. If you just said naps or reading, I
Nope.
love to read, but I
My
can't
game.
change it. Yeah, it's your game. You got it. So if I had to choose, I guess I go with movies. I guess I go with
Okay.
movies. I don't do naps.
My game. I get to make the rules.
Absolutely.
Mini golf or real golf?
I like real golf. Mini golf is for chumps.
I like real golf too. I'm not great at it, but I'm trying.
Uh,
Laptop or desktop?
I am actually a desktop guy. I use my
Me
laptop
too.
more, but I love a desktop.
My laptop sits over here now, and it's for emergency purposes or couch.
Yes.
Podcast or video?
I love videos.
Me too. Coffee or tea?
I am a coffee dude.
Sweet. Me too. Okay. Cat or dog?
I am a dog lover.
Sweet. I'm a cat. I love dogs, but we have two cats.
Okay.
Wine or whiskey?
Neither. I don't drink. So
Okay. And that one, I think I'm going to have to add a third one. I just try to
okay.
make it fun. Thank you so much for playing the game, this or
Thank
that,
you
which
for
helps
having me.
us know our guests a little more.
Yeah.
And stay right there, Carl. I'm going to bring you right back. Hey, everyone. Are you ready to level up your LinkedIn profile, create some amazing content that turns into conversations? Of course you are. But you guys, don't wait till the first of the year to get started. I've got 4 spots open for VIP clients. This is a half day intensive where we do some work ahead of time, but it's me and you, 4 hours. We rewrite your LinkedIn profile. We transform you. You're going to go from boring to badass, and you're going to stand out in the sea of sameness and get known and get found and get clients or get a new job. I work with job seekers too. This is the new service that we launched this year, and it is on fire. So if you're interested in being a VIP, like I said, we've got 4 spots open, and I'm going to drop the link in to you can book a consultation call because I've got to make sure, and you've got to make sure that we gel and we can work together. But this is a great way to get everything done in a short amount of time. And then if you need continued help, I'm here with you. There's ways to work with me on a longer term. But I want everyone to be ready to embrace all your goals and to achieve all your goals in 2022. And LinkedIn, it's got to be part of your game plan, whether you're a business owner or job seeker. So let's talk. Let's just have a conversation. I'll drop that link in just a minute. Carl, it's been so great having you on the
Yeah.
show. I am
It's been
so
great to
glad
be
that
on.
you dropped by 15 minutes of fame and engaged. And that's what
Yes.
it's all about, you guys. It's about engaging with your network. Don't be what I call an LL. That's a LinkedIn lurker. You
Oh
never
wow.
comment. Yeah, it's a term. I wrote a post about it. Don't be an LL. Don't be a LinkedIn
Ah,
lurker.
that's pretty
Comment,
cool though. I like that.
engage. Yeah. So,
Like the lurker.
right. So thank you so much for taking time today. I know you're busy. I can't even imagine what it's like to be a law student. Did you know that I worked at a law school?
Wait, say it again. You wanted to go?
No, I worked at a law school in
You
San
worked at law
Diego.
school? You know how high pressure, tense, intensive being in that area is. So LinkedIn is actually my therapy. When I come out of that arena, and I'll go on LinkedIn. It kind of pulls me to another level. So I love it.
Well, I love that we connected. Folks, you have a great day. Come back at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time for 15 minutes of fame. And I'm going to be going over how to sync your LinkedIn connections. It's going to be a great show. And hey,
Yes.
if you've got a way that you sync your LinkedIn connections, drop me a DM. Let me know, because maybe I'll just invite you up on the stage. It could happen. Okay, you guys, till next time.